At first glance, this might seem like quite a simple question. I mean, surely, like if you're adding 20% VAT on, this gives you 600. If you just take away 20%, surely that's going to give you the number we started on. But let's see what happens if we follow that through. So if I start with 600 and I minus 20% from that, 10% is 60, so 20% is going to be 120. And if I do that sum, I get 480. Now if I take 480 and I increase this by 20%, 10% of 480 is 48. Okay, now you can see where the issue is going to come here. This was the same percentage, but it was of a different thing. This was of 600, whereas now it's of 480. So I'm not going to get back up to 600 if I do this. So clearly we can't take off that 20% so simply, because the 20% that was of the original value, not of the 600. So we're going to have to use a different method here. So let's call the original value 100%. Now it's obviously 100% because it's the starting value. It hasn't really changed. It's just going to be its full value itself. And we're adding 20% of that. Then we get 120% in total. So 120% of the original value, that must be equal to 600. From there, we could work out either 10% or 1% if we want. I'm going to go for 1% because it's just a more universal method going down to 1%. So if I divide by 120, that's going to take me down to 1%. I also have to divide the 600 by 120. 60 divided by 12 is 5. So this is also going to be 5 because both of those are basically times by 10. Those zeros would cancel out. So 1% is £5. That must make 100%, 100 lots of this, which is 500. Now just to check that works, 10% of 500 is £50, so 20% must be 100, and we are adding 100 onto this. A slightly quicker method we could do to approach this is if we call our starting value x, we don't know what it is, that's something we're trying to find out. To increase it by 20%, times it by 1.2, that effectively does the trick. To investigate why that is, 120%, that basically means 120 per 100. Per meaning divide, cent meaning 100. So if I wanted to convert this into a fraction, I could do like so. 120 divided by 100 is 1.2. So that's where we can get the 1.2 by. And that gives me 600. So if I want to rearrange and find out what x is, I simply just need to divide by 1.2. So x is equal to 600 over 1.2. For this calculation, I'll probably divide it by 12 and then try and manipulate it afterwards. So 60 divided by 12, we have that again, don't we? That is 5. But I need to times it by 10 because I'm dividing by 10 times less than what we divided by there. So that gives me 50, and we started with 10 times more than 60. So again, I have to times that by 10. Now, if you weren't too sure how many times you should be dividing or timesing by 10, just use a little common sense here. We're dividing by about 1. So it's not going to go down an awful lot. It can't be 50. It can't be 5,000. That's just going to be increasing. So it has to be 500.